in the conversations that you're having with those people, you mentioned in your Facebook post that you were asking them if they wanted like updated market analysis on their home or something along those lines?
Yeah, so it's all through the flow of the call, because you can't just get on the phone and be like, hey, can you leave a 5-star review? You know, it doesn't really work like that. You got to make it exciting. Everything in this business, you know, no matter what it is, one of the things that I've tried to teach myself is I always come to things and this is going to be fun, you know, whatever it's going to be, you know, having to have that conversation or having to make that phone call or whatever it is. You try to, as best as you can, the outlook's got to be that no matter what happens, the show is going to go on. Things are going to keep happening, right?
So our competition, our direct competition, Redfin, Zillow, and all these other guys, Realtor.com, they're spending money here. But where we win is if we go into the niches, into the long tail keywords, right? So here, I wanted to show you that. Let me go back to this, because as soon as the ad pops up, I click on it.
And we're live on Facebook. Leave it to Jake again not to tell me that we're live. He just does it. Hey, everyone. How is it going? My name is Nick Baldwin, LCA co-founder. It's been a while since I hosted a webinar, so it feels good to be here. I am with a brand new agent, only 19 months in the business. His name is Joe. Is it Berkman or Brickman?
Brickman, Joe Brickman.
They spelled your name wrong again on the Zoom.
People do it all the time, man.
Oh my God. Okay. Joe Brickman. He is an agent, just new in the business, less than 2 years. And the cool thing about Joe is he's got 41 million in business closed and pending in his first 19 months in real estate. And the reason why I wanted to have Joe on today was because there's so much limiting belief in the real estate industry that you can't be successful in your first year or even your second year. And I just hear from agents all across the country just using the same excuses. That won't work in my market. I'm too new. That's why I don't have sales, yada, yada, yada. I've heard them all. It's exhausting. And you guys need to have more faith in yourself. And before we went live, Joe was like, yeah, man. He's like, I'm just doing the work. Like, who would have thought doing the work would get you the results? Well, Joe, thanks for being here, buddy. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the opportunity. Thanks for having me. It's awesome. Cool.
And if you're watching on Facebook or on Zoom, just drop in the chat who has the better beard.
Yeah.
You know, if you guys know what's good for you, you know who you're going to pick. You know what I mean? Yours is very like perfectly round, perfectly like trimmed. It's very good. I got to learn. All right, let's get started. So Joe posted, oh, someone already said, Joe. Sorry, Joe. That's all right. It's all right. I still love you people. I got beard goals now. All right. So Joe, I was going through the post that you made in the group about a month or so ago, telling us some of the things, you outlined some of the things that made you successful in the first 19 months of your career. And I just want to kind of go down that list because a lot of it is strategy based. And I think people watching will get a lot of value of it. You said something there that was interesting to me. You called the database of your lender.
Yeah.
What's the strategy around that? What did that look like?
So the whole idea of doing that is, you know, you put something out there to get something rolling, and then eventually it comes back full circle. And the idea was calling, you know, most lenders kind of like us, like how often do you go back and call the people that you've sold houses to 6 months ago? In today's day and age, you know, there's so much going on that who has the time to do that? And offering to do that for somebody else who's in the same business as you by saying, look, I just want to be valuable to you. I want to help you. I'm going to help you get reviews. If someone Googles my name or my number, I got like 26, 27 Google reviews, right? I have a goal of getting to 100 by the end of the year. Everybody wants to get to 100 Google reviews, like that's a presence. Now, offering that as, kind of a, hey, look, I know you're really busy. I'm really busy too. There's this super cool new, thing I've been doing for my lender partners. And I'm pretty good at it. So I'd be happy to try and help you out. I'm testing this out as a way to be valuable and help the people that I work with. How many people have you worked with in the last 3 years? Oh, that's awesome. What if I would give them a call and have them leave you a 5-star review? And it's that simple. Most people will be like, yo, that's epic, and then obviously you kind of show them the type of review that they're going to leave. And you like that and you show them that you've done it for yourself, or at least you're in the process like that, you're able to, really get their trust. But the idea is that by giving, you're automatically going to, after giving enough, you don't know when or where, but at a certain point, things will just start, coming back around.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. And so like in the conversations that you're having with those people, you mentioned in your Facebook post that you were asking them if they wanted like updated market analysis on their home or something along those lines.
Yeah. So it's all through the flow of the call, because you can't just get on the phone and be like, hey, can you leave a 5-star review? It doesn't really work like that. You got to make it exciting. Everything in this business, no matter what it is, one of the things that I've tried to teach myself is I always come to things and this is going to be fun, whatever it's going to be, having to have that conversation or having to make that phone call or whatever it is, you try to, as best as you can, the outlook's got to be that no matter what happens, the show is going to go on. Things are going to keep happening. Right. So it's hard sometimes to, be able to pull yourself out of that, because we as the givers and the people that we sometimes get involved in what is going on throughout the transaction, right? But being able to remove yourself from that a little bit and focus on the task at hand, right, is really where the people who are able to stay on it shine.
Yeah, like your clients are going to be emotional enough as it is, right?
Yeah.
So you got to be the one that keeps them on the straight and narrow.
And throughout the call, giving them the opportunity to like, hey, there's a competition going on,
right.
And they kind of feel like they want to give back. Because if I help somebody, right, especially in these times, go and actually do something, and obviously they'd want to give me something back, as simple as a review.
100%.
And then throughout the process, there's a house, literally a house that I sold a couple of months ago for like $600K. I have the one down the street under contract for $100,000 more. Like, these things are still happening here. Yeah. Right. And by being able to be the person who reinforces that, because, every single day, most people won't admit it, but almost everybody is checking all of the big, home valuation websites almost every single day. Some people hourly, some people every 10 minutes. And this is just, kind of where everything is going on. In every market, it's a little different, but in the super hot markets, people are checking those things all the time, right? And coming here to reinforce that, all of these people who bought houses a year ago, they're checking, they're looking, they're trying to figure out, see what's going on, because we're going through this time now where no one really knows what the hell's going on.
What is going on? Right.
And anybody who turns around and says, hey, look, this is what's going on, people will, if they can deliver on what they're saying, people will take that as fact. And you need to be that person who turns around and says, look, based off of, even if it's not your own knowledge and experience, right? Even if it's based off of somebody that you train with, or somebody in your office, or somebody that gives you the data, right? Being able to have that is ultimately where your power is going to shine now. Knowing, knowing your numbers, and then being able to present the numbers confidently to somebody else. And offering that market analysis, right? If someone's actually considering it, they'll take you up on it. Yeah, and if not on the first time, on the second phone call. But that's why we do everything. Another thing I mentioned in that post was, creating drip campaigns, understanding, how that flow works, like that you can do it properly. Because a lot of people I see, they hire a VA, or they build some sort of process, and then they give it to somebody else and it doesn't work. And that's because it's missing a lot of those key little things that, you know, help it be consistent. And, you know, by staying true to that and by following through on all of it on your own first, you're then able to now go and share that with other people.
Love it, dude. Hey, I want to ask you a question about you built a database to share off-market deals. So like the stuff I'm asking Joe about is actionable content and strategy that you guys can do to help yourself get more successful, whether you're in your first year or your 10th year. You built a database to share off-market deals that you get from mailers. You do a lot of mailers too. How did you build that database? What was your strategy?
So the way I started with mailers to begin with was really just looking for super simple things. Everybody in the areas that I'm sending mailers in are looking for larger houses with big square footage. You know, in Miami, in these areas, most of the houses are very small. And you know, there's no storage, there's no space to go, and people are paying thousands of dollars per square foot for shoe boxes because of the area. So being able to go to other areas that are closer by, you know, both that are good for short-term rentals, good as investment rental properties. You know, last year I did 100 rentals just about.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah, man. You know, that's where I got a lot of my confidence from. You know, running through just a lot of those transactions. You know, every single dude, renters are in the beginning, I just did it because it was proof of concept to myself that I can make money in this business. And then you start getting to a point where, I mean, a lot of those were community rentals, but it was also like every file, you know, credit and this and that, and learning how to like kind of work your way through it. It gives you that, hey, listen, this is how things go. This is how we're going to do it. And gives you that confidence to have something to stand on, which is, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And renters become buyers, dude.
Yeah. Well, now that's another.
Yeah, tell us about how you built that list. Was it organic, or was it a list that you acquired?
So I went to iMAP. iMAP is an app on the MLS. And in iMAP, I mapped out areas. I drew kind of like in Matrix, you can draw like a map with a freehand. So I drew a freehand around a specific area that I was looking at within 10 miles of my house, areas that I know really well, that I drive every single day, that I have a really good understanding of the market. Because when you send these mailers, everybody that I know gets these types of mailers, right? And depending on what you put on the mailer, and then also depending on, you know, how good you are backing up the mailer, that's what's important. So when deciding where you're going to build this database, you need to know that if somebody calls you, you have to be like, you know, when they tell you an address, you know where the house is. You have an idea of the bedrooms in the square. And because the idea of the mailer is to get somebody to call you to schedule an appointment to end up in their house.
Right.
That's how you build the database, because in today's market, you don't need to have an email list to blast people out. You just need to have the deal. You need to be in control of the deal to then be able to call somebody and say, hey, look, I know you're looking for a house here. How I did that was building a whole nother strategy to collect buyers. But once you have that list, you're able to turn around. And even if not, you know, that's in a lot of these mailers, people send out, I have buyers in your area, right? And then somebody calls them. They don't know anything about the area. They don't have any buyers. They're just trying to set an appointment. There's a way to present it where when you're sending out so many, I mean, and now we're doing about 10,000 mailers a month. Right. In the beginning, I was sending between 500 to like 700 a week. You know, at first I was doing it on my own. And then once I had a couple closings from it, I hired somebody, and that's kind of, you know, that's how we're doing it now. But by going to iMAP, staying on point here, how I built it out, I literally drew a freehand, and then in iMAP, there's a way to export everything to a mailer label. And then what I did was I went to Office Max and I got the Avery 5162, the small little label, and I exported everything and I printed everything out. Once I printed it, we stuck it all on labels, now on envelopes. Now, a couple things about the envelope. The envelope does not have a return address. And the envelope in the beginning had a label on it. Now we're split testing. We're doing 50% are handwritten addresses and the other 50% are still labels.
Oh, nice.
Because we're cycling. So
what are you seeing the difference?
I mean, I kind of knew that it would be handwritten, But we're also using like funny color stamps. Like I'll go to the post office and buy all of the, I don't know, Black History Month stamps, and I'll use those stamps, you know, like different ways to try to get people like interested into like, yo, what's
like
this?
sometimes they have collector stamps, you know, fun stamps they have that you can.
Yeah, and they're the same price.
Yeah, instead of like a normal, like, you know, American flag stamp.
Yeah. And then I'll go and get that, and then I'll just put them in the mail. Now, when you put them in the mail, it's important to understand that you may not get a call. You may, you know, you may get a call. And if you do get a call, you need to be ready. So only send out the mailers on like, you know, a Friday, because then like if you're sending things out local, they'll normally come in throughout the weekend, which will mean that by like Sunday, Monday, you'll probably get calls.
Okay.
You know, so you don't want somebody calling you on Saturday morning and then, you know, no one's available to answer the call. Because in the beginning, when most people are starting out, nobody has, you know, people who answer their calls or assistants or things like that. So you want to make sure that whatever you're doing is within your reason to be able to like actually follow up with. So
makes sense. And it's important, guys. You said something earlier. It's important to know the market in that area. There's nothing worse than getting a call and you're like, and you don't know anything about the market. Know the market. If you're breaking into a farm, get to know that farm. It's really important. Would you say?
Yeah, I mean, checking so in my calendar, I have like these little time blocks in the morning. And one of the things that I do is I spend 15 minutes just scrolling through a list of zip codes that, you know, I follow, that I'm trying to break into. I'm trying to, you know, establish more of a foothold just to see what's going on, you know, just so like that when I talk to somebody, I can have an idea of what's actually going on. You know, having the knowledge now, having these things on the top of your head, it's extremely important. Something that in the beginning, almost everybody did, but like, it's one of those things that, I mean, when was the last time, you know, the average person went and checked the MLS for like, what's going on? We're so focused now on buyers and new listings that we're not necessarily seeing everything else. You know, and being able to have that and show that and discuss that is something that really builds trust when these people call you back.
Somebody was asking in the chat, you know, how long does it take for you to handwrite the letters? He's not handwriting the letters, you're handwriting the address.
Yeah. We handwrite the address and the letter is printed. We kind of print it like slanted. There's like a whole
it's a whole psychological thing, right?
Yeah. It's like, so some of the coaching that I've done throughout my years in sales taught me a little bit about like, you know, the way to talk to intrigue people, you know, the different personality types and how to get certain people to respond. And, you know, having like the letter little slanted, the wording in the letter, depending on the cycle. So, you know, we're doing it spread over 6 months. In the beginning, it's very, very aggressive. And then we kind of taper it out. And that's also when we'll start using labels instead of handwritten, you know, just to kind of like, who knows, you know, I called a listing appointment yesterday. It was 45 minutes away from me. Before I headed out, and she was like, oh, we had a family emergency. We'll call you back. Boom. And that was that. Right. So you kind of want to pace yourself out to where even when you're going to get these calls and, you know, when you're going to be sending out the mailers, that you're matching their personality types. So that's why, you know, like when I'm putting it out like that and the different wording in the sentencing, it's all set up in a way where, you know, I normally know in a certain area, you know, how to send it out. I got you.
So like if you're sending it to a higher price point luxury neighborhood, it's going to be worded this way. If you're sending it to like, you know, a middle class first time home buyer area, it's going to be worded a different way. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Also how it's packaged. So, you know, sending mailers to one area where the average price point, like my average price point is like 650, 700. So, you know, I'm going to houses that are a little lower than that. You know, so an envelope that's slightly larger, you know, with the address written a certain way, you know, we'll get more opens. And it's really just about like, I don't even know how much more there is to go with this. Cause like, I've only been doing this after I started.
Who taught you this stuff, from coaching, or you did research?
So the mailers was something that,
no, I mean like the psychological aspect to your mailers, like the way it's written, the way it's presented. Where did you find out all this information?
Just like reading.
Reading. Yeah. Reading's good.
Yeah, I don't really listen to music.
Google.
Yeah, like I have a master's in Google and a bachelor's in Yahoo, YouTube. You know what I mean?
You're an
Like,
armchair expert, basically.
that's pretty much it. You know, I had a very interest. I grew up in a religious like Hasidic community in New York.
Okay.
So I didn't really have, you know, a lot of that like background education and stuff. You know, so I kind of just,
there's one of someone investing.
yeah, I thought I'd put my computer on do not disturb though. So you know, with that, I've kind of had to teach myself a lot of like how to do it. And I guess just even now, like I listen to audiobooks whenever I'm in the car. Like I'm not, you know, I don't listen to music. And I feel like that's how I get my education.
So let's move on to the next question, because I really like this strategy. You reach out to specific people in specific fields like doctors and nurses.
Yeah.
You brought donuts to the hospital, you brought coffee, you had an event for Nurse Appreciation Week. Talk about that strategy. Like, how does that work out for you? So do they think it's like weird at first?
Well, yeah, I mean, here's the idea, right? Like now, especially in the market that I'm in, you know, we're so oversaturated with like agents and people that everybody, their mom and their mom's cousin's friend knows somebody or is a real estate agent. It's just how it is. So being able to set yourself apart is obviously the name of this game. And the way that I kind of did it was like, look, you know, I found a way to connect to it. So like my dad had cancer for 7.5 years before he passed away. And one of the things that, you know, I had noticed in the hospital was that, you know, we would always bring like donuts and coffee to the nurses and they were super appreciative. And, you know, here in Miami, there are
a
whole bunch of hospitals. And I was kind of like, yo, like, what if I were to, you know, start doing that? Like, so the way, the trick to do that and to not spend like a crazy amount of money is to essentially like write a letter to a district manager of like a Starbucks or a Dunkin' Donuts or you know, a Krispy Kreme and be like, hey, this is what I do. This is what I'm trying to do. And you have like an actual, you know, there's a mission behind that. The mission behind that is to be able to, you know, give back to the medical and first responder field, you know, at all hours. And that's essentially what we did. So, you know, I got a buyer from a Facebook ad that I did for, you know, promoting this program. And then once that buyer came in, I was like, hey, at your hospital, happens to be the charge nurse of one of the main hospitals here. And I was like, hey, you know, I kind of wanted to do this. Is it cool if I did? And he was like, dude, that'd be amazing. You know, and that's when I realized that, like, you know, they're not getting, the doctors and nurses aren't necessarily getting, or don't, like, these little things can show the, you know, appreciation.
I love that.
And awesome. It's coming from an angle of contribution where like, hey, look, even if I don't get deals from it, and even if, you know, I don't get, you know, news write-ups or features or things like that, ultimately, just the fact that I know that, you know, 1 or 35 or 50 nurses, you know, had a good meal and had a good time and had a good day, like that's, you know, it's just one of those groups of people that isn't necessarily, I wouldn't say is underappreciated, but isn't necessarily catered to, you know, to a level.
It's a selfless job, man. Like, you know, they don't get a lot of appreciation. I love that. That's something that very actionable. A lot of people can do that. The next thing I want to talk about is birthday videos. You know, like this seems like such a no-brainer, but most people aren't doing it. You're sending birthday videos to your sphere. Well, I want to know what's your system, what your system is for getting structure around that, and what are you shooting the videos with, and what are you sending them with?
So I shoot the videos with my phone and I send them on Facebook Messenger. That's how I know people's birthdays, because Facebook.
Oh, that's okay, cool. Okay, so listen, let's break that down a little bit. Facebook tells you when it's someone's birthday, guys.
Yeah.
So send them a message through Facebook Messenger with a video.
And everybody will comment on, you know, statuses or post like pictures or message or things like that. But it's the thing about a video that ultimately is really where this power comes from, because everybody sends birthday messages. And the idea, it's like, you know, you use your phone because a lot of people are still getting comfortable with the idea of video and they tend to overcomplicate it. And I did that in the beginning and I was like, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to use my phone. I was going to, you know, and sometimes I'll record a video on the spot, like in the morning. If I have 10 minutes, I'll just record, because, you know, I fluctuate on the friends and there's just a lot of people. And some days you can have 20 birthdays. So sometimes I'll just be like, you know, I'll record a video and be like, hey, happy birthday. Hope you're having a phenomenal day. If there's anything I can do to be of help, just let me know. I'm here for you. You're awesome. And that's it. We're done. You know, send. And then I'll send it to 10 people. And, you know, to those 10 birthdays. And it doesn't necessarily have to be this long winded pitch of like, hey, I'm here for you if you ever need to buy or sell a house, or if you know anybody who can send me a referral, and you know, and if there's any questions you have, or if I can give you a comparative market analysis, just let me know. I'm your guy. What's up? You know, like no one cares for that. It's just, you're just trying to be different. It's these little things where people see that you're different is where people will remember you, which that's the name of this game.
Yeah, totally, dude. I love it. And it's so easy to do these things at a high level. Like, you know, the stuff that Joe is doing isn't complicated, right? Like I said before we jumped on the call, you were just like, hey, I'm just doing the work, you know? And that's really what it comes down to. Joe's one of the few who does the work. And these aren't things that, you know, you have to study and read a million books about. So just going down the list, you asked your lender partners for a database and you called them asking them to give Google reviews.
I mean, we still do that now. Like, yeah. The way I see it is, in order to actually really outshine it now, like with where we're happening in the second half of the year and with everything that's been going on, I feel like I'm going to have to step up, you know, a good 15-20% of output in order to get the same results right now.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know, so yeah.
Built a database of homeowners and you send them off-market deals. We didn't get into your iBuyers, but you kind of like do like an iBuyer type of letter as well, like seeing if they want to sell their house off market to a buyer that you might have.
Yeah. So real quick, it's simple. You know, there's a way to figure out a system where you are tracking specific. So I use HomeSnap, and then I'll like kind of run it with RPR and basic amateur stuff. Where, you know, I'll kind of run the numbers and I'll see what'll make sense, and I'll just send them a cash offer. I mean, you know, I have either someone who would be open to looking at these deals. And the truth is, in every market has somebody who's looking for these deals. All you got to do is have the deal. When you have the deal, you'll find buyers. Yeah. So, you know, you just want to get that. And I'll send out, you know, letters basically saying, hey, you know, I have buyers who are interested in your area with this specific type of house. Call me. And then they'll call me, we'll go check it out. We'll get a video and send it out.
You're reaching out to doctors, nurses. You could even do like attorneys. You could do attorney appreciation month. No, you know, attorneys never get any love. Anyway, and you're throwing events for nurses, bringing them donut to the hospital, which is pretty sweet. You are sending birthday videos, recording one video and then just blasting it out to like 5 or 10 people.
It depends. It depends on days where there's like a bunch of people. Yeah, I'll do that. But if it's only like 5 people, just make 5 separate videos, because it'll have much better reach with their name, and it'll also make you more comfortable doing them. So it's good practice.
Yeah, I love that. So this is awesome, Joe. Lots of great input. Jake has in the chat, Julie on Facebook is asking, how did you find all your rental clients in the beginning? Because you did 100 rental deals.
Facebook Marketplace.
Facebook Marketplace. People looking, were they rental listings?
So there's 2 ways to do it. A lot of people who run Facebook like ads, what they do is they kind of try to set up one that's like a perpetual ad, and then they like will bait and switch, for lack of a better way to say it.
Okay,
they'll
so
put up one list.
You run the ad?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the trick to getting like a massive volume is finding either, like in Miami, we have rental communities, which obviously is specific to only certain markets. I think that, you know, all you got to do is put up the listing, and then people will message you. It's how you word it. It's how you post it. It's what pictures you post. And I'll put up 5 of them. So, and then we're always changing them. Obviously, you know, to stay new and fresh, you know, following the exposure for that we're trying to maximize our exposure on Facebook. So, and then we'll just keep refreshing them. And, you know, that at a certain point, I think we had like 31 or 32 before Facebook gave me like a first warning.
So it works until it doesn't work.
Yeah. So you have to be a little careful. Like I would say only post things. And this is like with, I guess, everything that we were discussing, only do things that you can stay consistent with. Like it's super cool to put out, you know, a crazy amount 1 month, but what you know, stay consistent with is ultimately what's going to grow. And by doing it once, doing it twice, you're not going to get that instant result. It very rarely happens.
Yeah.
So, you know, start off small and then only scale as you can, you know, put more of that aside to continue growing it.
Love it. Love it. Well, Joe, this has been a lot of fun, man. I think there's been a lot of actionable content. Joe's phone is blowing up. He's got to tend to those clients. So we're going to let him go. But Joe, appreciate you being here. You can find Joe on Facebook. It's Joe Brickman, not Joe Berkman.
Yeah.
It's Joe Brickman. I'm sure he'll answer some of your questions in between servicing clients and selling deals. But Joe, it's been awesome to have you. Appreciate you being on with us and keep crushing it. And everybody, I hope you learned a lot. Take some of what Joe is doing. Don't take all of it at once. Baby steps, right? Start with the birthdays. It's easy. Start with the birthday.
Yeah, listen, this is all like, if you follow it and you try to add something new once every month and a half, like, you know, this is something like I kind of started doing all of these things one by one over the last 18 months. So, you know, this is kind of where we're at after 18 months. So don't expect to find the things that work the best for you and find the things that you can relate to the most, and then just get really good at it. And keep doing it.
Love it, dude. All right, man. Have an awesome day. Thanks for being here. And thanks everyone for watching.